Welcome to my video on how you can perform with perfect intonation in any music that you practice and perform. There are simple and actionable steps that you can take today in your own practicing to take your intonation to the next level. I used to think that intonation wasn't really an issue for me, and I assumed that everything that I played was in tune. I had to hit reality when I went to college, and one of my college professors told me that I had to focus on and I had to work on my intonation if I wanted to be a successful musician. And now I feel confident in my abilities to play anything that I want in tune. This doesn't mean that I always play everything perfectly in tune, but what it does mean is that when I do miss a note, that I can go back and fix it, and I feel confident in my abilities to fixing whatever notes are out of tune and being able to play it in tune and get it to performance standard. So there are four main reasons why a violinist's intonation may suffer, and each is very important. Number one is going to be that they can't hear the difference between in tune and out of tune. If you haven't trained your ears to perfectly listen to what is slightly out of tune and what is perfectly in tune, then you won't be able to tell those differences mid-performance or mid-rehearsal or mid-practice session. So training your ears is quite necessary for this, and being able to discern, to tell a difference between just slightly out of tune and perfectly dead center in tune. And especially when you're playing with an ensemble, whether it be piano, other string instruments, or a vocalist or a track of some sort. Second reason is that they are rushing their practice sessions. So a lot of violinists assume, they think that they are practicing, that they are being efficient and effective with their practicing, when in reality, they're just playing through their music and they're not really improving the quality of the music they are performing. You want to take the time and to slow down and really pay attention to each single note and making sure that it is in tune and that it lines up with the ensemble that you're playing, the track that you're playing, whatever it might be. And that is the difference between what makes an okay performance and an excellent performance. Third is that they are not visualizing their fingerboard. If you do not have a mental roadmap of the whole fingerboard while you are playing, you are essentially just throwing Hail Marys and expecting to land exactly on the spot each single time. Or perhaps you first need to find your starting notes in order to then continue on playing. So this is not reliable, and it is essentially like driving blindfolded and expecting a good result or just being able to arrive where you want to. Fourth reason is that their left hand doesn't move comfortably around the fingerboard. If your left hand moves awkwardly when you shift, do vibrato, or move from string to string, then you won't be able to reliably find certain positions or certain notes. You need to be able to recall and be able to move swiftly and accurately between different positions, different strings, and different notes along the fingerboard. Now, each of these has their own solution, and you might feel comfortable solving maybe a couple or several of these, but if you're not sure how to do all of them, then this is exactly how you're going to approach every single one of these four problems for your intonation. Okay, for the first problem, you're going to train your ears to recognize different pitches and match them on the violin, and to recognize different intervals on the violin. You don't have to spend an hour every day or hours for weeks doing ear training and practicing this and that, but what you do have to do is be able to match a certain pitch exactly dead center with either a track or another instrument or an ensemble. And with the intervals, you must be able to recall in your head what an interval sounds like and be able to play it on the violin. What you'll do first is play a note on the piano or on a drone and play the exact same note on the violin and make sure that they line up, they sound the exact same. Next thing you want to do is learn and understand what different intervals sound like. So you can use any website you like, but I use musictheory.net, and I have the exercise down below, so I'll have that there for you, and I'll have it in the PDF as well. You want to learn what a unison, minor second, minor third, major third, perfect fourth, tritone, perfect fifth, minor sixth, major sixth, minor seven, major seventh, and an octave sound like. Now, you don't have to learn these on the violin necessarily first. You can use, like I said, the website or on the piano if that works for you as well. Now, for this, you must remember this, that you cannot use vibrato for any of these exercises. The vibrato will only hide your intonation, and if it's somewhat okay, it will sound all right to you, but you want to uncover it and make it as clear as possible, whether it's in tune or not. This will only help your playing in the future. I like to think of vibrato more like icing on the cake. If your actual cake tastes terrible, then icing is not really going to save it. It's just going to make it look okay on the surface. Okay, for the second problem, you're going to slow down and tune every single note in either a scale or a short passage of your music. Now, this doesn't mean that you're going to play super slowly and tune every single note of every single piece, song, or tune that you're playing for your performances. But what it does mean is that you're going to go knee deep into a section or a passage or a scale of your choice, so that when you play it perfectly in tune, you can apply that same concept into the rest of your music. Now, you've already proven that you can match exactly, precisely a single pitch. Now, what I want you to do is take a scale, for example, and play, we'll say A major. You're going to play the A on the piano or on the drone. I prefer a drone for this. And then you're going to play that A major scale, A minor scale, whatever scale you're using for a piece. And I want you to tune every single note, and I want you to listen for those intervals that you just learned. So if it's A major, I want you to listen for the A unison, then the B major second, and then the C sharp major third, and then the D perfect fourth, and then the E perfect fifth, and then the F sharp major sixth, and then the G sharp major seventh, and then the A octave. Now, like I said, depending on the scale, you won't need to listen to every single interval that I mentioned for the first problem. You will only need to match and listen for those intervals in that scale. For the minor scale, you will have to listen for different intervals. If it's Dorian, if it's different scales, Phrygian or modes, etc. Now, the most important concept, please, if you listen to anything of this video, the most important concept for this is that you cannot slide your finger back and forth to find the note. You cannot do this. You must lift up your finger and replace it down where you believe is the correct and precise note or interval. Okay, for the third problem, I want you to practice with your eyes closed and visualize and feel every single note and every single position for a scale or for the passage that you're working on. Yes, I know this is odd, I understand that, but trust me, you need to create this mental image in your head and feel that same image on the fingerboard in order for you to really understand where everything is and to reliably recall different positions and different notes across all strings. This doesn't mean that you have to practice all of your music like this, that all of your practice has to be with your eyes closed. This is only for working on your intonation while you're doing this with a drone, etc. Again, you can apply this while you're focusing on your intonation, while you're playing that scale or a short passage of your music. I found that it works best when you focus on intonation rather than dynamics or bowings. I want you to really carefully listen to your sound and always strive for perfection, not for that sounds okay. Even though perfection doesn't exist, I always want you to think like this could be more in tune. I'm not satisfied with this sounding just all right in tune. And if you played it perfectly in tune, try to do it twice in a row. Then try to do it 3 times. Then try to do it 4 times, 5 times. I want you to challenge yourself to playing it perfectly in tune many times in a row. This takes a lot of mental focus. So if you're not really focused in 100% in what you're doing, then I just want you to take a break, put your violin down, do some stretching, drink some water, use the restroom, take a break, do some meditation, and then come back to that once you feel like you can focus in on it 100%. For the fourth problem, I want you to find your most efficient and most comfortable hand frame and arm frame for that matter. This means that you should be able to shift to any position that you want across any string and reach for any single note at any given moment. If you feel like you're stuck or like you can't comfortably get to any position, then that means that you have to relax your hand and you have to adjust your hand and your arm so that you can comfortably reach that without any hesitation. When you do this, your arms should feel relaxed and centered. Your fingers and your hands should feel agile, light, and nimble. And if you feel like your hand is not quite moving as fast as you want to, or it feels a little bit stiff, then you can do some stretches, do some wiggling of your fingers, or you can do some hand extensions like this, just little bursts, just to get the muscles opening and the joints smooth and relaxed. You should be able to play any notes in the position that you're in. So if I'm in first position, I should be able to play any first position note here. If I'm in fifth position, I should be able to play any fifth position note here. Your arm plays a crucial role in supporting the hand. If your arm is not centered under the hand for the appropriate string, then you're not going to be able to reach the notes that you need to. If your elbow is tucked too far forward, then it's going to be difficult. Your fingers are going to be too upward. And if your elbow is tucked too far back, then you won't be able to reach certain notes. So you want to feel a good center position. And when you do change strings, your elbow should always move with it. Intonation doesn't have to be that difficult or complex or this huge major challenge that takes months or years to learn and actually implement into your playing. A couple simple steps that you can implement today into your practicing to change your intonation for your next performance. Intonation is one of the few key factors that can either make or break a performance. But intonation isn't the only thing that will set you apart from the crowd. Having a good bow control that allows you to play with a beautiful tone and creating ebb and flow with your phrases is important to creating a really dynamic and exciting performance. Now, I give you the 4 common problems that most violinists have with their intonation and the 4 steps to actually solve those problems. And these are the exact actual steps that I use broken down how I've used them in my playing. But if you want help implementing these steps into your daily practicing, into your routine, then I want you to book an appointment call with this link or the link below right now. Now, this is only for violinists who are performing gigs or events and want to attract more and better clients and want their clients excited to actually hear them perform and excited to tell their friends of how good the music was. If you're serious about making improvements to your intonation, to your overall playing, then you need to book an appointment now, because I can only take 3 new students every week, as I do teach full time, so that takes up most of my time. Even if those spots for the week are filled, I can still put you in on the following week, but I can't guarantee that it won't already be filled up. Thank you guys so much for watching until the end of this video. These are the actual exact steps that I use in my own playing to improve my intonation. I really hope that helps and that you're able to see the improvements, the changes in your practicing, in your performance that you've always wanted to see.